Good evening and welcome to the nightly Periscope for the challenge chat. This is the Love Your Lettering Challenge for October on CreativLEI.com. You can find all the information on the posts on the blog. Good evening. Hi, ladies. Come on in. Do you have your pens ready tonight? It was funny last night. I knew that lots of you guys were working because it got real quiet in the chat real fast. So I knew that you guys had waited till the scope so that you could practice. Hi, ladies. For those of you that might be joining for the first time, hi, and I'm assuming California. Hi from California. Maryland over here. It's late for us East Coasters. Those of you joining for the first time, my name is Lisa. I blog at CreativLEI.com, and during the month of October, I have been hosting a creative lettering challenge and ways to improve your handwriting, to learn to love your lettering. So it's CreativLEI.com. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those places as CreativLEI. Welcome, Mo Ruby West. Hi, Paula. So it's good to have you guys here tonight. So last night we went over the challenge. Hi, Marcy. Washington's here. Last night we went over how we're prepping for using a brush pen with a pencil, using the pencil to kind of get a feel for what the change of pressure is as you make the strokes of letters. And so today's challenge was to actually use the brush pen. And I know that lots of you have different type of brush pens, and your results are varying depending on the pen. But the thing is that you can do brush lettering with any brush pen. It might change the size that you can work at, but you can certainly do it. It might change exactly how you position your hand, but we can make it work. So I have an array of brush pens in front of me so that I can use a bunch of different ones to show you what that looks like. I am a lefty letterer, so my default hand is my left hand. I can show you proper positioning with the right hand, but my work with my right hand is not very neat and pretty. But I will show you as far as how to hold the pen and how to get the pressure. I practiced a little bit before the scope just so I didn't look too clumsy with my right hand. So that's always kind of tricky, but I do want to be able to show you proper positioning because it does change a little bit. It's not exactly mirror image with my left hand. So hopefully you've brought your questions tonight or anything that you kind of had a hiccup with on the assignment so that we can address that. Hi, there's my baker friends. I love that some of you guys listen or watch while you're doing cookie decorating and things like that. And I love that working on your handwriting is something that all of us can do regardless of what we're going to use it for. Some people are here that want to work on their lettering for Bible journaling, which is awesome. Some just want to be able to write notes that their children can read, which is amazing. And those of you that are using it to improve your lettering for your cake and cookie decorating, that's pretty neat too. It is an art, like I know Amy from Mommy Scopes Polka Dots Wishes was mentioning tonight that it's been fun to see that it's not just about being an artist, but it's about learning a skill, because that's really been what I've tried to focus on, is that, to kind of get past this idea that, well, I wasn't born an artist, and to realize that it's a skill that we have to learn. So I'm just like watching others who have skill and just admire and awe. Oh, I do appreciate that. But I do hope that you're trying the challenge and just adapting what you learn to what you're using. Much easier using the soft tip brush pen. The Pentel Sign Pen hard tip was more difficult. Yes, the hard tip pen was not the first pen that I started using when I started doing brush lettering. I did use a soft pen. Now I do use both. I vary between the two depending on how small I need to work. The Sign Pen is really nice. It's definitely a good economical option. I tend to grab my Tombow pens frequently because I have multiples, so I'm not afraid of overusing them. You can't get the smooth upstroke, it comes out wiggly. Oh, Amy, that is just, it takes a little bit of time because it's a different feel about, releasing that pressure, especially when you're first going through and varying the pressure on the up versus the down. So it's definitely a discipline, but hopefully as you start to do this throughout the week, by the end of the week, it should be a little more comfortable. Kind of like when we went back to the print and the cursive. I know a lot of us struggled with cursive writing, that we haven't done proper cursive in a long time. And so that was kind of tricky in the beginning. But as the week progressed, it got a little bit easier because you're starting to build that muscle memory. I think we're all impatient, Amy. It's not you. We all want to like get that pretty lettering that we see online the first time that we touch the pen, but the reality is that we have to work on it. We need to practice. So glad finding other letters on Periscope. Welcome, Jody. Yes, and if you search the hashtag Love Your Lettering on Instagram, you will see samples of lots of these ladies' work, and it's been so fun to kind of cheer you guys on all month long, because I know in the beginning of the month, lots of you didn't think that you had the ability to do this, and through the month, your confidence has grown and you're sharing more and more, and some of your work is absolutely amazing. And I love hearing the testimonies of those of you that are doing some of these lessons alongside your children, or that are just using it for a good creative escape for yourself, because that's fun for me. That's fun for me to see that type of feedback from you all. So we'll get right to work now that I've blabbed a little bit. I'm going to flip the camera and pop it into the tripod, which will hopefully cooperate tonight. I have a cup of coffee because my fingers are cold and I was afraid they would be cold while I was trying to write. So I was trying to warm up my hand before starting. Okay, so I've got my notebook in front of me, my drawer full of pens. You took a 2-hour class, $60, and you're not an expert. Oh, goodness. Was that like a cake decorating class or an actual lettering class? Yeah, some of the classes are a little expensive. Of course, this series is it's a growing experience for me to do something so consistent. And you guys have been really patient on those days where I've had to kind of have a bump in the progress. So I've got some graph paper in front of me. And of course, this is the graph paper from Mead. There is a little bit of bleed through on here. Thank you, Nancy. But it's a light enough grid for me to show you guys. So I have the Tumbo. When you do the release the pressure on the pen to get that, where do I do it? It depends on the lettering, brush calligraphy. Yes. And I know that some of you have noticed now that you're learning all these different lettering styles, you're starting to pick up on the lettering and handwriting trends that are going on online. And you can see, like, brush lettering is definitely a big one right now. Most of the popular fonts are based on brush lettering. So this is the Tumbo soft tip. Hand muscles will have to train them like every... Yeah, it is. It's true. You do have to train it. This is the Tumbo dual tip, which is a broader brush. It writes a little bit differently, so you might not get those really small hairlines, but it's still possible. I'm gonna grab a colored one of those because they're more fun. We'll have a colored one. Let's see, we've got the Pentel sign pen. I know some of you were using the Faber-Castell brush pen. So this should cover like a few different styles of the brush tips. Hi, Viviana. Sorry, I'm gonna get some coffee. Yeah, and a lot of times using the brush pen, you may have to slow down slower than you would for normal print or cursive. Okay, so I'm going to go through the Pentel sign pen, or because I think that was an autocorrect. But that was an awesome autocorrect. Okay, so the first, and I didn't look up. I've been trained with the pointed pen. I don't use it very often, just because it's messier. And for this course, I'm just using the markers because I feel like that's a little more attainable for starting out. But certainly once you get the feel of the pressure of the brush calligraphy, some of you may get curious and want to try the pointed pen, and I would highly encourage that because it is fun and that really does kind of bring out the art of the lettering. But the brush pen is an excellent way to start. Okay, so the first stroke that we talked about on the exercise was kind of going from the upstroke, the hairline, and looping over, kind of making those little swirly mounds. And that's, of course, not a technical term. And so I do hold the pen fairly close to the tip. And I go up real thin. And then when I come down, I really do kind of work that brush into the pen. I'm pushing down fairly hard, and these soft tips are quite forgiving. Are you on Catch, or is the replay available? Because I would love to go look at that. Okay, so lots of these loopies for practice. And then the next one starts and goes up and over. And so that looks like an E. So my upstrokes, and I probably can't get incredibly close without it getting blurry. Sorry, I'm moving my mouse and the tripod out of the way. But I go really light, and then I'm letting that brush kind of go. Oh, awesome. Okay. And then zigzags are always a good one. Oh, hi, a henna artist. I have been playing around with henna. Send you picture comments. If you're on Voxer, I'm on Voxer. Or you can message me through Facebook or Instagram too. And then kind of combining a couple. And you need to be mindful when you're using the brush, because you really do have to control the pressure. Like, to get that thin line that's right here, it's got to be really thin. This is the Pentel sign pen with the soft brush. So there's that one. And then another stroke, I said, instead of doing the loop, just coming down with the stem. So as a lefty, I'm really kind of pushing the pen, whereas you right-handed girls are pulling it towards you. So your positioning will be slightly different. I'm going to set down this tripod again. So those of you that are on here that are lefty like me, we really fight the pen because we're pushing it, which makes it want to do funky stuff sometimes. the artist pen in the brush different than the regular brush pen? There's a wide variety of the brush pens. So, like this is the Tombow Dual Brush. It is flexible. It's not as flexible as the Fudenosuke pens. So, like to do this same stroke, the Pitt pen is not a bad pen. It's very similar to this Tombow pen. It's a little bit big, but you'll see as a left-handed person, as a left-handed person, I do have a hard time getting the hairlines with these more broad pens because I really do have to lift the pen off the paper and it kind of changing the position of the pen, where those of you who are right-handed may not have to struggle that much to get your hairline. And of course, my right hand is not very neat. This lettering challenge, the 31 days to love your lettering, all those posts will remain on my blog. They'll still be accessible, and I do plug in the catch versions of these scopes onto each blog post that it's applicable to. Okay, yeah, I think, because I've watched lots of lettering from right-handed folks who get really nice hairlines with the regular dual brush. It is a little bit harder because of the way I hold the pen as a lefty. Like I said, because I'm pushing the point into the paper instead of pulling it, so I do have to change the position. Thanks. Yeah, it'll be there. And there is, at the bottom of each of the lettering posts, there is a graphic that links back to the index post of the, yeah, I totally lift to change position a little bit. I think because it's become such practice, it might not be very noticeable to me all the time, but I definitely lift to compensate to get that hairline. So this is the Pitt Artist Pen, which is a brush tip, but it's a very similar felt tip to the Tombow Dual Brush, just a smaller version. So yeah, when I'm trying to get the hairlines, I'm holding the pen kind of, really lightly to the paper, and then when I'm coming down, I'm pushing in. So again, when you're right-handed and pulling the pen, your variation on the pressure may be a bit different. So I am not consistent enough with my right hand, not when I'm trying to work small. Thanks, Jody. It's good to have you here. I will look for yours. Let me just make sure I'm following you. Gotcha. Thanks. Ned Flanders, y'all can have some. Yeah, I am definitely not a typical lefty. Like, I know with calligraphy, I'm supposed to slant my paper or hook my hand. So, because the idea is that if you, as a lefty, if you were to hook your hand, you'll have your pen in the position that a right-handed person would. But that is so unnatural for me. I hold it my normal way and I compensate however way I need to get the look I'm going for. And so hopefully that's encouragement to you all too, is that if what you're seeing in those tutorials, for me or from someone else, is not quite working, play with the pen. Play with the pen until you start to feel that you get it. How do I not smear? Sometimes I do. It depends on how juicy the pen is and how long I wait before I go over it. Sometimes what I'll have to do is go back over it. I have a sand eraser from Tumbo, which is really good for getting some of those smudges out. Yeah, you can make any of the pens work for you. It's just a matter of trying it and just really working at it. Sorry, I'm trying to find a different pen to show. Okay, so this is a Kuretake pocket brush, which is even a different style brush pen. It's a much more firm brush. And so, yeah, definitely, like most of them, because they're considered disposable pens, kind of like our ballpoint pens and stuff like that, a lot of them you can find for under $3 or so. So definitely trying a few different ones to find one that feels comfortable in your hand and is getting the looks that you're going for is worthwhile. That's why I have a whole drawer full of different pocket or different brush pens. These are some of my brush pens. And I finally did find the other one. The one I used most recently, this is, and there's like no English on this, it's a Kuretake pocket brush, I believe, and I think that this one is the medium tip. I would have to look on old jet pen receipts to figure that out. Okay, so here is the black and gray Tumbo dual tip that some of you have gotten. And so this is another soft brush tip. Kind of fighting with the... So the slower I go, the more I can work on getting that hairline, an actual hairline. When I start to go too fast, I'm not allowing enough variation. Yeah, I'm totally a pen enabler. I can't even apologize for that. Do I use light boxes? How can I use it for dark papers? I've not used a light box in a while. Occasionally I'll use the window as a light box if I need to. On the dark paper, you can draw in pencil lines. Like if you were working on black paper, I would draw in pencil lines or draw them in with chalk and then erase them with a kneaded eraser. The gray, sometimes I use it just to go ahead and add drop shadows when I'm doing lettering. So this pen usually stays in my case that goes to church because I do use a journaling Bible. And so to have two colors on one pen is helpful for me. But when their other brush pens were back ordered, this one seemed to be still available. It's not a bad one at all. It's a pretty gray. Okay, did you guys have any specific questions on the different strokes for practicing with the brush pen? Sorry, warming up with coffee. So you guys are really quiet tonight. Is it because you're doodling? So I'll do a printed alphabet. Nursing the baby. My little one's feelings are hurt because she told her big sister that mommy won't let her have nummies anymore. Okay, don't know how or when to apply the pressure. Okay, but my daughter's 2.5, so it was time, because mommy was done. Okay, so applying the pressure, okay, so like, let's say with the A, starting thin, and then as you come for the downstroke, it's heavy, and then right when I get to the baseline and I'm going to turn up, that's going to be another hairline. And then coming down for the stem is going to be another weighted line where I'm going to add pressure. With the B, since I'm starting with the stem, it's a heavy line. And then starting the bowl of the letter is going to be a hairline until I start turning that downstroke and then turning up again for an upstroke. Yes, I mostly lift up as I approach the baseline, because especially if I'm going to get that tapered look, as I'm approaching the baseline, I'm kind of lightening up the pressure. So on the C, hairline, downstroke for the stem, and then turning up after the baseline. So this will have you guys ready for tomorrow when we're writing. Can't really do anything with the I, the J, or the K. Well, okay, so a print I, yeah, it's pretty plain. The J, because you are turning up on the descender, you're gonna get a hairline on the turn up. And the K, it depends on how you're doing it. I usually, on these parts, I think they're called the branches, I sometimes go kind of light on the top one and then come heavier on the bottom one. So, and of course, we're going to talk more about modern calligraphy. I believe it's on Thursday, where we talk about playing with these letters. It helps to see them done. That's good. Yeah, so it's really about playing with the pen. The brush pen is really fun. It's a little nerve-wracking at first as you're learning how to control it, but once you do, you get to play with these letters, and it will eventually be fun if you just stick it out. So I do always go back to practicing those basic strokes. I still do that, and this is the only long series I've ever done. This is actually the first time I've shared this much in depth with artwork or art technique. It's something, and those of you that have followed me on Facebook, you know I've been chatting a little bit about this with you all. This is the first time I've really gone and embraced my